this hand to me actually is going to be interesting. I don't think there's any chance that we fold. Does anyone think you can ever raise here? Go ahead and talk in the chat. What's up, chat? Is he likely to have a flush himself if the club hits? I think versus our check back range, they're going to have more flushes than we do. Personally, in this spot, I would have guessed that I call, even though we do have some fun backdoor straights and stuff to raise with. The combinations of flushes are reduced with 2 Broadway hearts, with the 10 of hearts and king of hearts. For sure. Only concern really is the ace of hearts. Do we have any leads on this turn? Do you think that you get a fire here? It may not be the case versus cutoff because they have a lot of offsuit nines. However, I don't think offsuit nines bet half pot on this board. Why would they?
Also, do we call all the nines versus bigger sizing on monoboard?
I don't fold a pair to a bet, a half pot bet.
True.
Let's see if this is really a thing. Oh God, what do I do? Okay. I was thinking that I might actually go for it here. Why not? But then I actually kind of figured that I was a little bit. I actually love shove. Why didn't I do it? If I'm gonna lead this turn all crazy like that, I think it's kind of sexy to shove here. This will be a fun one to look at.
That's definitely fun one.
Matt R says, I probably check fold river after bluffing turn out of position too often. Yeah, actually, I would say that that's probably an MTT player global mistake, myself included. Like, it's really easy, especially out of position, to not defend. Like, if you have a 2-street hand, for instance, a lot of people are too front heavy. They bet the flop and turn and have too many check folds on the river. So I'm really interested in this hand. I think if we're talking about leads on the turn, where out of position starts to get to play offense again, I do think that like middle pairs pairing usually makes that happen. And it's because we have more middle pairs than they do. Usually the big bet or the bet that you make, though, it's a combination of things. It's not just nines. It's supposed to be like your 10x, some of your draws. How many sizings would you have on river? I try to have 2 or 3. And I think that, yeah, relatively small bet for like our, like not super small, because we're repping 9x's. I don't even think a 10 gets to bet. So I think I would bet like more like 1/3 and shoves. I don't know if we have much that wants to bet 10. See, the other thing that Preflop Academy has, though, is the ability to get any range and copy paste it and plug it in. Matt R says, I should usually give up on bluffs on some turn river cards, just not on so many bricky ones. So I think when all the draws miss, people tend to call. But what I'm going to make you do is put this in, and we have questions to ask. That's what I actually like. I think that solvers are useless unless you have some questions, right? So here are the questions are, do we check raise flop ever? Do we lead turn? If not, if so, was the sizing correct? And then the third question is, if we happen to run that bet on the turn, do we get to slam river or bet river in some way? Yeah.
What sizing did he use? He used a bit bigger, right? I mean, here I put...
Yeah, he went half pot.
And 50. Okay, half pot. So, yeah, that's the sizing he should be using the
That's actually correct.
Frequently. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
It's very much correct.
And then I wanted to know, my king 8 ever raises with the king of hearts? It looks like no. Oh, hey, little tiny slivers.
It is.
Slivers.
Yeah, like probably it's, you can see it better now.
So it's actually a very clear 15% raise.
But we choose to call, and the turn was a 9.
Come on, one time. Have leads.
The question is, do we lead?
Oh, baby, I see leads like a, less.
Yeah.
At first, I saw a lot of leads there. I was excited. Oh, wait, what?
27%.
Let's see what King 8 does, though. But the size is wrong. The size is wrong, which I actually kind of knew at the time. But I was like, you know what? I want to freaking straight up rep the 9.
So
hold up. Anyone that had a problem with me leading, freedom and wheat, man. More than 50%. More than 50%.
Way more than 50. And we can use it for a bigger sizing too, which is not that popular for a leading range, but for the king 8 with king of heart.
If we're talking about turn donks in general, that in that node, we tend to bet small. So it was actually kind of unusual of me to bet big there. But I just thought, honestly, if I had a 9, I'd want to put a little bit more money in the middle.
Any other hands you wanna see how they behave?
I mean, that's good. That's good. Like we donk, they call.
So we let 50. They call.
And they're supposed to raise more 9s too. And the jack was the river. Did I just not have?
They're supposed to rate 12%.
Now, I would actually guess that people raise less than this. 12% is not that much, actually. I was just going to say that, like, I wouldn't be surprised seeing Lex, just call a king 9 rather than raise a king 9 here.
Yeah, that's what you can see here. Like we don't raise when we have the flush. We raise 9s more often.
Is there a way to look at just the flush combos? Yeah. So we're looking at hearts right now.
Yeah, the flushes.
It looks like king high and queen high raise the most and ace high doesn't. That's interesting. But yeah, flush is kind of mixed. But that's also part of why you don't really want to lead that many 9s in these kinds of spots that are too big, because there is just a lot that can still beat us.
And for a bluffs, we're using a 6 with a 6 of hearts. Do you think people do it?
No.
They usually do the opposite, right?
Yeah. I mean, like, I think they're gonna bluff raise like just as much, but I don't know if this is the combo that they would choose. Cool. Now let's check the river. Can we get weigh in your bets, everybody? Do you get to shove the king 8 on the river after doing this like sort of off sizing?
I mean, we go for it a lot of.
I'm ashamed. What's the sizing we choose? By the way, I take back all in. As soon as I said it, actually, I realized that it's not going to be the case. And the reason why is because in position is not capped enough for us to go all in with too much of our range. I didn't think we'd have too many very small bets. It looks like we just have one sizing of 50% for our main sizing. I would have assumed that we had like another 100% sizing. Not all in after I thought about it.
100 is not used at all.
Yeah, I would have thought that you could bet 100. But if you think about it, like your main value range here is 9x, and 9x on this river, what kind of equity do we have with 9x?
Like almost 80. 75, 80. Yeah.
So if we know about like the relationship between bet sizing and equity, 80% equity usually bets about half pot. So it just makes sense, right? It would have felt tough to bluff half pot there though, because I think a lot of people just snap call queens there, like when you bet half pot, like what folds?
That's a good question.
Yeah, they're 10x.
Yeah.
But ain't nobody folding aces and kings to a half pot bet. I mean, are you?
A6 still bluffing.
No, but like if you've played this spot and you have aces and somebody donks turn 50% and then leads river 50%, you think you fold aces? You should, apparently.
We should.
The thing is, when I make a bluff, right, my thought process for making a bluff does kind of come from solvers, but not really. It's more like, okay, do I beat any value? Do I have a bluff, first of all? And then we think about whether or not this is a node that the population overfolds or underfolds. In my mind, this would be an over call spot because they're supposed to make some pretty big folds in order for this bluff to be good. So one of the thought process I tend to have when bluffing is what size would value have? And I try to come up with like 2 bet sizes. And then I try to think about whether or not they have a weakish range where there's a lot of easy folds or a tough, or a relatively strong range. This spot, I actually think you're running into a pretty strong range. So I don't mind that I underbluffed.
Yeah, agree. And
all right,
here,
so back to
here you have nice bluffs, right? Ace 10, Jack 10 with hearts turned into a bluff.
That's sick.
That's dope.
I got to remember to do that. But see, that's so weird, turning that into a 50%. Oh, wait, no, this is versus the bet from out of position. And we blast off with Jack 10. That's sexy.
I can see that coming, but probably not the Ace 10. But yeah, it's only a couple combos, so.
Well, I mean, it's only the Ace of Hearts that does it.
And not all of them, so.
Yeah. It's funny though, aggressive players always like to pick out the little things like that, even though that's not even like the main thing that's happening here. We're like, ooh, bluffs. Let's move on to the next. Wait, would the solve let us know if a 65 to 75% bet sizing works here, or does it adjust its sizing on its own based on the solve? That's a great question. Let's actually try to fix that. Can we make out of position have a 75% sizing? Because
on the river?
Mhm.
Yes, of course we can. Yeah, I don't know, let's do 75 and 125. Although
Perfect.
that won't be used, right? Like if we don't use 100 and all in, no chance. 125.
Yeah, you can put 100 there. Put 6,700, maybe.
Okay.
Also, because someone else mentioned a 10% sizing, throw a 10% sizing in there if you want. Also, make sure to take off the suit filter if we still have it.
Yep. Do we want to change anything for the cutoff?
Maybe more raise sizes, but nah, it's fine.
Like a small one? I don't know.
Yeah.
It's gonna be all in almost always.
It's gonna be mostly just all in though. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean I can add 30%.
Mhm.
And the jack.
That's what's cool about this solver that a lot of other solvers don't have, is that this is real time and you can change the inputs on it.
Okay, we bet even more often with the bigger size. Is that true?
So it turns out, because 50% seemed too small. It really did, right? Oh wow, look at this. Now that you have the 75, the 67% sizing, my hand just goes for it.
Yeah, 100.
That's pretty cool. I'm into it. One other thing, hold on. It looks like we actually have all ins too. Very small amount. Very small amount.
Very tiny. I mean, but yeah, we with the nut flush and some.
I actually thought that was a really nice use of this tool that you couldn't do with anything else, pretty much, right? Is if you don't like the river sizing, boom, change it and get to rerun it.
Yeah, you basically see what you choose, if that's proper or not, and you can just update it pretty quickly. I love it.